I'd like to talk about this whole idea that you sometimes hear advanced, um, that comes down to the argument from improbability. That is, that the universe, or some aspect of the universe, is so wildly improbable that the only explanation must be what amounts to a supernatural agency, an agency that is outside of the natural order, essentially something that is impossible, something that transcends the laws of nature. The Red Sea stands up, parts, the dead comes back to life. These are what amount to scientific or naturalistic impossibilities. And what I am reminded of is something out of a quote from the old Sherlock Holmes stories, where Sherlock Holmes is quoted as saying, when you eliminate the impossible, whatever is left, however improbable, must be true. And what the people who are advancing this argument is saying essentially turns this maxim on its head. What they are saying is, when you are left with something that is sufficiently improbable, we're going to embrace a solution that is the impossible. And what I sort of imagine is this, to sort of highlight how we can imagine what this is really about. So you're, imagine, if you will, there's a crime scene, and we are left with, say, the victim has been found shot to death, and it's in a locked room. And the lock it's been bolted and double locked and triple locked. He, the victim, has the only key, and the windows are barred. And Chief Inspector comes and examines the scene of the crime every which way. No way that the gun can be removed. The stairs, the door at the top of the stairs has been doubly locked. The door at the bottom of the stairs has been triple locked. There's no way that anyone could get in, no way anyone could get out, yet the gun is missing. The window is barred. The door is locked. And he comes to the conclusion there could only be one possible culprit, one possible suspect, and that is the man on the stair who wasn't there. And so we have to put out an all-points bulletin who's searching for this man on the stair who wasn't there. And of course, we know some other things about the man on the stair who wasn't there. For instance, we know that because the victim was shot many times, this is a crime of passion, so we know that he must have had an animus for the victim. The two must have known each other. He obviously must be in possession of a firearm because the man was shot. It was a .45 caliber firearm that the man on the stair who wasn't there must have taken with him. We also know that since he couldn't have left the scene because all the doors were locked, he has to still be present. But since he isn't there, he must also be absent. So the man on the stair who wasn't there has to have the ability to be both simultaneously present and absent at the same time. That's very important, so you have to include that in the APB that you send out to the people who are going to be searching for him. Also, because we found a red hair that doesn't belong to the victim at the scene of the crime, the man on the stair who wasn't there apparently also has red hair. And because we found a drop of type O blood, and the victim doesn't have type O, we know that the man on the stair who wasn't there, and who is both simultaneously present and absent, also has type O blood. And all I have to say is, if you're going to advance the idea that your suspect can be both present and absent, that he is the man on the stair who wasn't there, what you need to do is to go back and re-examine the scene of the crime. And anytime you are tempted to resort to a supernatural explanation for any natural phenomenon, you need to go back and re-examine the scene of the crime. And when I say a natural phenomenon, anything that has occurred in the physical world, anything that you can see with your senses, anything that is amenable to observation, to perception, that is something that has occurred within nature. So if you're saying, well, what if the dead come back to life? Well, then what I have to say is, if it is an observed event that the dead come back to life, well then that has to be something that occurs within nature. It is an event that may be unusual, but then that's something that has to happen rather unusually within nature.